Before you ever questioned your life, before you ever asked why you're here, before you ever felt that ache that says there's more, there was a presence standing beside the flame of your soul, a presence older than the beginning of time. The Gnostics called it the Aeon of light, not a distant angel, not a deity demanding devotion, but a cosmic intelligence that guides every awakening on earth. Even now, as you listen, it is leaning toward you like a sunrise bending toward a sleeping mountain. You didn't find this video by accident. Something luminous nudged you. From the first moment your awareness opened inside this life, this Aeon has been whispering through intuition, through synchronicities, through sudden clarity that didn't match your age. It guided you through heartbreaks that forced you to grow. It guided you through endings that rearranged your path. It guided you through conversations that arrived at the exact moment you needed them. And it guided you here, because you are not waking up alone. The ancient texts describe this Aeon as a bridge between the pleroma and the human soul, a radiant intelligence that pours remembrance into the world whenever humanity is ready to take its next evolutionary step. In every age of collective awakening, this light descends, not physically but vibrationally. It appears as ideas, as visions, as a shift in consciousness that spreads like dawn across a sleeping continent. And the world is in one of those dawns right now. You have felt it. The tremble beneath the surface of your reality. The sense that something is changing in you, even when nothing external seems different. The feeling that your old identity is dissolving, your old fears are cracking open, your old dreams are evolving into something deeper. Some people call it intuition, others call it awakening, mystics called it gnosis. But the Gnostics said something simpler. When the soul is ready, the Aeon of light stands behind it. This Aeon has no face, no gender, no ego. It appears differently to each person because it speaks the language of your inner world. To some, it feels like a guardian. To others, a teacher. To some, a distant star that keeps flickering in dreams. And sometimes, it feels like a gentle pressure in the chest, a knowing without words. Let me ask you something gently. Have you ever felt watched over, not by a person, but by awareness itself? Have you ever felt protected in a moment where protection made no sense? Have you ever had clarity that felt given rather than earned? Those weren't coincidences, they were contact. And when the Aeon of light begins its work in your life, something shifts. You stop being satisfied with half-truths. You stop living by inherited beliefs. You stop betraying your inner knowing. You start waking up from the smaller version of yourself you were taught to be. Awakening always begins with a refusal to stay asleep. Tonight, we walk into the mystery of the Aeon guiding that refusal. And by the end, you won't just understand this being. You'll recognize its fingerprints across your entire life. To understand the Aeon of light, we have to go back. Farther than the Big Bang, farther than the galaxies, farther than the first breath of creation. We go back to the pleroma, the realm of fullness, where the monad, the infinite source, dreamed without dreaming. A realm so complete that nothing was missing, nothing fragmented, nothing lost. In that boundless, silent ocean of pure being, the eons emerged as emanations of divine qualities, mind, word, grace, wisdom. But among them was one whose very essence was illumination. Not physical light, but the first recognition the source had of itself. This recognition became an Aeon, the Aeon of light, the awareness that awakens awareness. The Gnostics said this Aeon is the spark behind every spark. The reason consciousness can recognize consciousness. The reason you can see truth when it appears. Imagine a dimension where light is not photons, but understanding. Where radiance is not brightness, but clarity. That is the realm where this Aeon was born. Before light ever touched matter, before stars ever burned, before minds ever thought, the Aeon of light existed as pure knowing, the bridge between the source and everything that would eventually awaken. When you feel a moment of sudden insight, you are feeling a micro-expression of this cosmic intelligence. And here is the secret your soul has always sensed. You didn't fall from this realm. You extended from it. The Aeon of light is not something external guiding you. It is the cosmic aspect of yourself that stayed awake while you entered the dream of matter. The part of you that never forgot. The part of you that has been whispering, "You are more than this." Have you ever wondered why certain truths resonate instantly, even if you've never heard them before? Why certain spiritual ideas feel like remembering rather than learning? That's the Aeon of light reminding you of your origin. When you meditate and feel that sudden expansion, when you read something and your heart trembles like it knows, when you have a dream that feels more real than waking life, you are touching the realm before light had a shape, and the Aeon of light is the thread connecting both worlds. If the Aeon of light is so radiant, why isn't awakening easy? Why isn't everyone enlightened already? Why does life feel so heavy, so confusing, so full of suffering? The Gnostics answered with brutal honesty. The material world is a distortion, a realm governed not by the eons, but by the archons, forces of imitation, fear, confusion, and distraction. When the soul descends into this world, it passes through layers of forgetfulness. It forgets its origin. It forgets its purpose. It forgets its own light. And in that forgetting, something beautiful and dangerous happens. The soul becomes capable of learning what only darkness can teach: resilience, compassion, presence, courage. But the Aeon of light does not abandon the soul in descent. It descends with you. It hides inside intuition, inside conscience, inside the longing for truth, inside the moments where your life hits the lowest, darkest floor, and a sudden clarity appears. Every awakening moment you've ever had, even the painful ones, were guided by this Aeon. It doesn't control your choices, it illuminates them. It doesn't remove obstacles, it reveals the meaning inside them. It doesn't erase suffering, it transforms it into understanding. Think back to the darkest chapter of your life. Now ask yourself, how did you survive it? What part of you refused to die, refused to give up, refused to lose hope? That part was not your ego. That was the Aeon of light inside you. The part that knows you are built from something the darkness cannot own. The more shadow you encounter, the more fiercely this Aeon speaks. Not in words, but in clarity that erupts inside you like a star being born. And that is why the world is undergoing a spiritual earthquake right now. Because millions of souls are remembering at once, and the Aeon of light is pouring through the cracks. The movies lied. Awakening doesn't start with bliss. It starts with discomfort, disillusionment, a sense that your old life no longer fits, a feeling that you're outgrowing the identity you've lived inside for years. The Aeon of light begins awakening by making your illusions uncomfortable. You start questioning things you never questioned before. You start noticing patterns you used to ignore. You start feeling emotions you buried for decades. You start craving solitude without knowing why. And then something stranger happens. You begin to see the world differently. People you once admired now feel shallow. Places you once escaped into feel hollow. Conversations that once excited you now drain you. Your desires start shifting into something quieter, deeper, truer. This is not depression. This is spiritual molting. The Aeon of light is peeling away layers of false identity so the real self can breathe again. You begin to sense a presence guiding you, not externally, but from within. A warmth in the chest, a clarity behind your thoughts, a strange certainty during difficult decisions. A voice that is not a voice saying, "Go this way, trust this, let that go, keep walking." Let me ask you, have you felt a pull towards something that makes no logical sense but feels spiritually undeniable? Have you felt life rearranging itself around your growth? Have you felt coincidences clustering around you like breadcrumbs leading somewhere? That's what awakening feels like. Not fireworks, alignment, not noise, clarity, not perfection, direction. And the Aeon of light is the one holding the compass. Here are the unmistakable signatures of the Aeon of light. 1. Synchronicities accelerate. You begin seeing numbers, symbols, messages, and impossible timings that feel orchestrated. 2. You're drawn to truth you never cared about before. Ancient texts, Gnostic wisdom, esoteric traditions. You didn't seek them, they sought you. 3. Old habits fall away without effort. You don't force change, you outgrow what no longer matches your frequency. 4. Your intuition becomes louder than your fear. Decisions begin making themselves through clarity, not anxiety. 5. You feel watched, but safely, lovingly. A presence that feels like guidance, not control. 6. You lose tolerance for fake relationships. Authenticity becomes oxygen. Anything else suffocates. 7. You feel like you're living between worlds. Half here, half somewhere higher. A foot in the human realm, a heartbeat in the pleroma. 8. You experience strange moments of remembering. You can't explain it, but something inside you says, "I've known this forever." These signs don't come from ego, they come from contact. The Aeon of light guides not by force, but by resonance. It shifts your frequency until what belongs to you finds you, and what doesn't simply falls away. In the pleroma, each Aeon embodies an aspect of the divine architecture. But the Aeon of light has a unique role. It awakens the entire system. When a soul begins to remember, this Aeon becomes the bridge. When a world begins to awaken, this Aeon becomes the dawn. When humanity reaches a turning point, this Aeon becomes the catalyst. Every major spiritual awakening in human history, the rise of wisdom schools, mystical traditions, sudden cultural shifts, has been influenced by this aeonic intelligence. It doesn't interfere, it illuminates. It doesn't dictate, it clarifies. It doesn't force awakening, it reveals what was always there. The Aeon of light is the cosmic teacher that never speaks, the architect of realization, the inner companion that walks beside every soul climbing out of forgetfulness. And right now, its influence on Earth is increasing. This is why global consciousness is accelerating. why millions are questioning the old systems, why people are feeling inner revolutions they can't explain, why spiritual hunger is erupting everywhere. The Aeon of light is not descending, it is rising through us. Whenever light increases, distortion reacts. The archons, the rulers of the lower realms, are not threatened by suffering, they are threatened by remembrance. They don't mind if you're spiritual, they fear when you become sovereign. So when the Aeon of light begins guiding you, you may notice increased self-doubt, old wounds resurfacing, sudden chaos in relationships, emotional turbulence, internal resistance. This is not regression. This is the system trying to keep you in your previous frequency. The archons use 5 primary tools: fear, shame, confusion, urgency, and distraction. But here is the truth the Gnostics died to protect. The archons cannot touch the soul. They can only manipulate the stories around it. When you stop believing their stories, their power collapses. And the Aeon of light gives you the clarity to see through every illusion. You don't fight the archons with force. You outgrow them with truth. Here is the revelation that changes everything. The Aeon of light is not a being above you. It is the part of you that never entered forgetfulness. It is the spark inside you that stayed awake when you descended. It is your highest consciousness sending guidance down into your human form. It is the bridge between your mortal identity and your eternal essence. Every time you seek truth, you are aligning with it. Every time you choose love over fear, you are embodying it. Every time you reject the illusions of the world, you are remembering it. This Aeon is not your savior. It is your memory. You have always been connected to it. But now, that connection is strengthening. Let me ask you directly, doesn't it feel like something ancient inside you is waking up? Like a light you forgot you had is turning on again? Like your soul is remembering instructions written before you were born? That's not imagination. That is the Aeon of light rising through you. When this Aeon fully awakens inside a person, several profound shifts occur. Your life begins aligning rapidly. Old timelines collapse. New paths appear. Your heart becomes wiser than your mind. Intuition becomes your first language. Your identity softens. You no longer cling to who you were. Your presence becomes healing to others. You carry a frequency that rearranges rooms. You stop fearing death, because you remember you never truly left the pleroma. You begin living from truth, not from survival. Your decisions come from resonance, not reaction. You embody sovereignty. No belief system, no external authority, no archonic illusion can control you. This is not enlightenment. This is remembrance. This is not escape. This is arrival. This is the Aeon of light fully blooming in the human heart. Here is the truth you may not be ready to hear, but you need to. Your awakening is not personal. It is collective. It is cosmic. The Aeon of light doesn't awaken one soul at a time. It awakens clusters, waves, generations. When you begin embodying this light, the entire human field changes. People around you shift, relationships evolve, synchronicities multiply. You become a node of remembrance, a carrier of clarity, a breaking point in the matrix. You affect the world simply by existing differently. And so the Aeon of light continues to work through you long after you notice it, using your presence as a lighthouse for others. If this video stirred something ancient inside you, if you feel the light rising in your chest, if your eyes feel like they might tear up for reasons you can't explain, that's the Aeon of light saying, "I've been here the whole time." Share this with someone who is awakening, like the video, subscribe, and keep walking with me. And if you feel called to go deeper into the eons, the pleroma, and the hidden architecture of your soul, explore my Gnostic-inspired novels and audiobooks linked below. Your awakening is part of a cosmic wave, and the Aeon of light walks with you, guiding every step home.